Hey, you guys, what's going on? It's your girl Kimora, and you're tuning into episode 4 of the Artist Sit Down. So, you guys, I'm kind of really just excited to give you the fourth episode. We've been consistent, we've been consecutive with dropping the episodes every Tuesday at 8 p.m. And I thank you to all that's just been tuning in to honestly, listen and watch, regardless if you watch the beginning, the middle, or even to the end. I appreciate you for even just clicking and supporting me. So it means so much to me, honestly. I do want to say today we do not have any special guests, but we have the one special guest that makes the moment. And this is just me hyping myself up. Please give a round of applause for Kimora She. Okay. So, I got to hype myself up. So, you guys, we're just going to have this segment. I wanted to do this segment just to let you guys get into a little bit of who I am. I know I always mention in my episodes that I'm an artist, and to those who, to those of you who don't follow me on social media or um, know what type of artistry I do, here's me introducing myself. So my artist name is Kimora She. I am a artist, so I actually sing and I rap. I kind of do a mixture of hip hop, Afro beats, and Afro beats. I kind of mix the two together with some singing, and that's how I create my sound. Um, what else can I say? I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and yeah. So I mean, I also want to let you guys know. Excuse me. I also want to let you guys know that we will be having about two more episodes after this. As you all know, I do film from my college, and so the semester will soon be over. And so we will be having 6 episodes this season. So let's just say this is just like a mid-season, but it is the finale that is coming up. So we have 2 more episodes left. But next semester, next season, season 2 is going to be epic. Um, Please stay tuned for bigger and better production. Um, just more quality, just like more interest, more people, and I just can't wait to give you guys more episodes and really just up my brand, up my content, which I think me kind of just starting this platform, being on this platform has been helping me do. Um, I'm new to still the whole podcasting thing. Of course, like I'm really good at talking and stuff, but I'm still new to the whole podcasting dynamic. So back into me being an artist. Um, so I actually started initially writing music in 2018. Um, that was when I actually picked up my pen and actually just started writing to a beat. So it's when I actually started writing like my own stuff to like a beat, and I was just dropping. This is when I actually had Facebook. So I was actually dropping freestyles on like Facebook, and I had Instagram. So I was dropping it on both platforms, and people were actually really tuned into me, and they was just like, "Whoa, like who are you?" So it's from 2018 up until 2019, I was like starting to get my feet wet into like writing and actually just doing freestyle. I had yet to record. I had yet to actually even step into a studio, and I think it wasn't until I want to say probably like April-ish of 2019. One of like a good friend of mine, his name was Michael. He is actually a recording artist now. He had a studio in his dorm, and he allowed me to come over and like record a song which he actually featured on, and it was like really dope. It was like the first song I ever released, and when I was in school at that time, um, everybody was just like, wait, Kimora raps, like like what's going on? And I think that's when it started hitting me like, wow, like I can do this. So after like about, I want to say, after that song though, after that song, I think I did 2 more songs with an artist. His name is Richie, I believe. That's his artist name. It's been a while, but I think his artist name at that time was like Richie, and originally his name is Taj. But so I did like a song with him, and then I had did a song with my friend Nia, which was like more of like a twerking song, like party song, get you hype, and it was just so dope. So I was kind of just experimenting with like different sounds so early on into like my career. I didn't even know what direction I wanted to go in, but it was just fun at the moment. So I was just like, wow, like I can do this. What I would say is after 2019, I kind of like stopped because around that time I had this thing where I was going and like encountering new career fields and going into different endeavors of mine, like trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. And so that was just something that I feel like I stopped by. Initially I sing, so I've actually been singing since I was young, and I auditioned for shows like America's Got Talent and like The Voice. um and so that is kind of where it started. Of course, singing in church was like the main one, and I got introduced to like a lot of different sounds and music from my mom. Actually, she actually played so many different genres and types of music that kind of just opened me up. And I've always been like this, um I want to say fairy tale type of girl. And so every time I just listen to music, like it makes life feel like a movie. It makes life feel like a dream. And I think that's why I enjoy music, and that's how I see music. Um, so back to the timeline. So 2019, I actually stopped actually making content, making music, and all of that. And I took a break. And it wasn't until um, I want to say I went into like a midlife crisis almost. I think that was in what, 2021, where I actually sat down with myself and I was just like, oh my God, like, what do I want to do in life? I feel like I'm naturally gifted in a lot of fields. And I feel like all my life, everybody's just kind of been telling me, like, oh, you got to pick one thing, stick to one thing. You got to pick like what it is that you want to do. And for me personally, when people tell me that, especially growing up and, not necessarily having the best guidance, it's kind of hard to, pick what it is that you want to do, especially when you can do multiple things. And so to tell someone that they have to do one thing, it just makes life so confusing and like so much harder. So, I was going through my midlife crisis, and I was just like what do you want to do, Komora? Like if you if everything just stopped in this world, there was just no money, there was nothing going on, you were just walking the earth and you had to be something, what would that be? And I told myself I wanted to be, you know, um I wanted to be an artist. Like I wanted to make music. Music was something that I wanted to do. Of course, as I was little, I knew music was something that I wanted to do, but of course, I didn't think at that age that music could make me money. And so I think growing up, that's what I was thinking about the most. And so I was going into fields like law, healthcare, and stuff like that. And when it was actually time to pursue those careers or take the classes and courses for those careers, it never really sticked. And so I think now where I'm at in my life is, um, I decided in that moment that I wanted to make music. And that was actually March, the month of March 2021. I can't give you a specific date, but it was the month of March 2021 that I actually made my mind up like, hey, like I'm going to do music. And from then on, I've been writing music and I've just been writing freestyles every single day, just working on my penmanship, working on elevating my vocabulary, elevating my words, elevating my wordplay, elevating my character, elevating who I see this person in my head, elevating to be that ultimately. And I'm not necessarily going to say I don't think I'm there yet because I don't think I'm fully there yet, but I definitely think I'm at the doorstep of finally, opening that door and to be like welcoming that person that I seen in my mind, welcoming her in. And I feel like that moment is very close. And, I feel like if anything, like she's definitely here internally already. And I think now it's going to take some time for me to like outwardly express that expression that I see her to be. So yeah, so I actually made up my mind, like I said, in 2021. And I would definitely say my type of music is, I want to say more romantic. So I want to say it's like romance rap. I I actually just dropped a single which was in February. It's actually called Fire. And um, if you guys listen to that song, it was actually me speaking about a breakup that I actually was going through. And just to get like a little inside scoop of like, just a little bit more personal, I was going through a breakup and I was actually talking to this guy. Well, I was dating this guy and he was actually like cheating. But I felt like when I like found out, I didn't like I knew I needed to express my feelings, and music was something that I was already doing, but I didn't want to like express my feelings in a way where I was bashing him in a song. Ultimately, because I knew I was gonna have to say this song multiple times, and so I was like, how can I change this experience? How can I change my feelings towards what I did feel? And so just kind of seeing the bigger picture and everything and kind of seeing what went down as a whole, it taught me to just have more self love for myself, to have, just more boundaries and just respect when it comes to people, me encountering people and letting people into my life and the certain type of demanding that certain type of respect that I want and that I deserve. And so I feel like at that time I really liked that. I lacked that in my character. And I kind of looked at the situation as, it helped me grow and build because after that situation, I definitely took a step back and it made me think, like, okay, what am I, not necessarily what am I doing wrong, but what can I improve on so that when I do encounter different relationships, whether that be intimate or just friendly, um, that I can be assertive in what I want. And so that's kind of what I took out of it. And from the song, I just, that song for me was kind of just, what's the word that I want to say? Kind of like reassuring me of like what it is that I want. So, of course, if you listen to the song in the beginning, I say, I like a race, let's run a marathon. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like the interest. I like running. I like to see where things are going. I'm a very long term type of girl. And so, when it comes to things like that, like I like the long terms of things. So that was kind of like where that bar came from. And then if you listen a little into that, the beginning of the line, I also say, Audemars and Cartier, he want to keep me real tip top. From my head down to my toes, you want to see that drip drop. And that line is kind of just depicting, and ultimately it's supposed to depict, how fancy that a man should and want to treat me. And he want to keep me real drip drop. Y'all know what that means. But it also goes into the second verse, after the chorus. It goes into the second verse where it says, I want to be the one you wake up next to. Picture perfect beauty queen. You feeling proud of every moment you show me was special. And I feel like for me personally, um, when it comes to me wanting relationships and things like that, I think that's something that's just really beautiful to me. I want to wake up and feel beautiful in my natural state next to my, man. And I want these things. And I'm not going to say I necessarily didn't feel that in that relationship because actually waking up, was the best thing. But I also, waking up is not the only thing I want to do next to you. Being in a room is not the only thing, right? And so it's like I want to experience and encounter, special moments, moments that you think are special, for you. And I want to be able to be a part of those moments and, you feel special for including me into that special moment because I think that's just what's going to make the moment so special. And so I think if, now that the backstory is kind of out to that, listening to the song would probably just make a little bit more sense as to where I'm coming from. It's definitely coming from a place of, understanding my feelings, understanding what it is that I want, and um, that I feel like a lot of people should just value and want. You can't just go off of love nowadays because honestly, everyone's perception of love is completely different. And so when it comes to love, you also have to put, some rules and some boundaries behind what that love looks like for you. Um, and then my first ever single that I put out on all streaming platforms. First of all, you can find Fire on streaming platforms. And then my first ever song that I actually put out on all streaming platforms, it's called What If. And it was more so of like a personal story. Um, so, like I said, I did grow up in Brooklyn and I grew up in Brownsville, New York. I mean, Brooklyn, New York. And I grew up in Brownsville, so in the projects of Van Dyke. And honestly, it was just me expressing how I felt. Like, so of course, in the beginning of that story, I said, what if I told you I wasn't so strong and I felt like the world was just useless to me? And at that point, it was just like, that's just how I felt. I didn't feel like the world was worth being in. I felt like I didn't really know how to maneuver through the world because to me, I have this huge heart, but I think what I had to learn with growing up was how to guard, my heart and how to, like I said, set up boundaries. I think my life lesson was definitely, from what I could see, was learning how to build stern boundaries in order to protect myself. And so a lot of the times when I made music, it was coming off of like, feelings of boundaries that just weren't set. And, years of just crazy trauma experiences and depression and getting out of that. I always tell people that when I do speak, I speak from experience, and I think I'm a person, especially from a very young age up until now, um, that I've been through a lot, and I think I've been through almost every single emotion that I think could possibly be in the world. Like, I literally feel like I went through every single emotion. And I encountered a lot of experiences that gave me a lot of wisdom when it comes to at least wanting a more peaceful and happy life for myself. And of course, problems come and problems go. But, even when you're in the midst of a problem, how to, be at peace and be calm when those problems arrive. And I think for me, it took, you know, I'm 24 now. So it took 24 years for me to really just grow into that, into that person. And so, what if was really just me talking about how I grew up in the projects, how, I always was just hearing shootings, how, I've been around, people that were like drug dealers, like growing up, and I had got jumped one day and I had a gun pulled out on me. And, you know what I'm saying? It's just like a bunch of traumatic experiences. And, um, at the end, I said I wanted off of my family, and it's just like I'm a big family person, and I think anything and everything I do it for my family. But I do have to tell people that, especially if you're that person that is a family person, you have to step away from your family. Especially if you want to grow and you want to be this big time person in the world, you have to step away from your family. And it's not to be selfish, and it's not to be, say that you're forgetting anyone, but you need to, in order to win and in order to come back and save them, you have to like kind of save yourself first, in a sense. And you have to go out there and you have to find out the knowledge. You have to find out the resources. You got to find the right people, the right direction, and then when you're set and you're prepared to come back, and give a helping hand, you do that. But you have to learn, the steps to take. You have to learn the path to walk in order to go back and, lift your family up. And even then, because you went through all those, sacrifices and having to leave people and having to leave people behind to better yourself, which is not a selfish thing because everyone should always do that. Um, you come when it's time to actually come back and help people, you start to see how people are in the position that they are in because they mentally keep themselves there. And so just like you had the opportunity to take time and build yourself up and elevate yourself, those same people had the same opportunity. And so, you can go back and you can help people, but your job is not to lead them all the way there by their hands. It's to say, hey, I have these resources. Whenever you want them, they're here. I can provide you with it, but you're going to have to put in the work. Your job is not to put in the work. And I feel like that's what I've been learning. So, what if was definitely just like talking about how, you know, I didn't feel like, the world was worth living for, and not necessarily like saying I was thinking about suicide because it wasn't a thought for me. That was never really a thought for me. Um, but it got to those points where I felt low like that, and bringing myself out of that was just, um, it was a really powerful thing for me. Um, so yeah, I could definitely say Brooklyn definitely shaped me as an artist. Brooklyn was very rough for me. I moved to Brooklyn when I was in 2007. I was actually born in the Bronx, so shout out to the Bronx. Um, but I was actually born in the Bronx, and I lived in the Bronx from when I was young up until 7 years old. So like I said, moved in 2007. And when I actually first moved to Brooklyn, like I think my first month in, I got jumped in my neighborhood. And it wasn't necessarily because I did anything wrong. It's one, because I was new. Um, I was new to the hood, and then I also had like a smart mouth, and so I was one of those people that, when people was just talking at me, I felt like I needed to say something back, and so I did, and it just led to different circumstances, and so that shaped me to just be, um, like this. I kind of say want to be like kind of like a little tough person in a sense, or it helped me build my toughness, my character, and in a sense, I feel like I want to say thank you to the people that. And it sounds so crazy, but I want to say thank you to the people that did those things because it actually built me as a person. I like to think of myself as like a princess warrior. At least I feel like I was some type of princess warrior in my past life. Um, but that's how I like to think of myself. And I feel like because I went through so many traumatic experiences that it got me to this point where I'm not as angry as I feel like I could be. And I'm not as, you know, hurt or a victim of the things that I've been as I feel like I could be. And as an artist, I want to show people, especially because a lot of people out there, especially when they see me from first glance, they don't think I've necessarily been through anything or been through much because I hold myself a certain type of way. I'm very calm, I'm peaceful, and I don't necessarily show the things that I've been through, but I've been through a lot, you know, and I think my story, especially continuously growing as an artist and the music that you will see me make, is supposed to, tell my story that no matter anything that you go through, like anything, it could be the worst of the worst situation. As long as you mentally want to pull yourself out of that, out of those thoughts, out of those feelings, you have to like not only necessarily forgive a person, but you have to forgive yourself that, that happened to you. Because when you go through trauma, a lot of the times you put a lot of blame on yourself. And it's kind of weird how that reverse psychology kind of comes in, but the blame starts to be like you start to put blame on yourself. And it's just like you have not like that has nothing to do with you. The people who hurt you or anything that hurts you, those are the people that have to suffer those consequences. But for you, you have to pull yourself out of that and say like I'm not a victim of any of this, and I'm not going to be a victim of any of this. And that beautiful person that I was before all of these traumatic experiences happen is the same beautiful person I'm going to be after I get through it. And I think for me, that was the main goal. And I think I've been through losing a brother. I've been through getting stabbed. I've been through foster care. Um, so it's been a lot. I've been through having to, help my mom raise 5 kids. So it's been a journey. But I'm standing here, and I could definitely say I'm happy, and I think I said this early on last year that I actually finally felt the true feeling of like happiness, which is so crazy to me. But happiness is actually really a feeling, you guys, and it like feels like something. I don't necessarily know how to describe it, but it feels like something. Like it's so crazy. Like happiness is really like an actual feeling. And so to get the burst of that, you kind of want to always stay in that type of like that momentum. And I think, especially getting older now and going into like my mid 20s, the only thing I'm looking for is peace and elevating who I am as a person. And once again, being an artist is an emotional ride, but I love it because it allows me to, in my real life, go through personal situations, beautiful situations, hard situations, and ultimately help me cultivate all those things into an idea to bring into a song. And I think I'm at the point in my life where I'm kind of reviewing everything that I've been through from young up until now and finding ways to make that into like beautiful big masterpieces. And um, I think that's where I'm at right now. So when people ask, so, what's going to be your next song? What are you working on now? Like, why do you keep promoting the same thing? I keep promoting the same thing because, I have things in a chamber and greatness takes time. And I'm not going to just put things out there or music out there that, I don't have a feeling for. I don't have um, an emotional connection to. Once again, I'm going to have to say all of these songs over and over and over, when I become the international artist that I'm striving to be. And I actually am going to have to perform for you guys. um, and gals. And so when it's actually time to perform these songs for you, I, want to feel every single emotion from it. Like even from 5 years down the line, when it's time for me to perform What If, when it's time for me to perform Fire, my first two singles out on all streaming platforms. I want to go back and reconnect to what those feelings were like for me, because they were real feelings, and because as I grow and I'm always going to know the emotions that I felt in these songs, is going to be a chance for me to reconnect with it, but not only reconnect, but be proud of myself that, whoa, like 5 years from now, now I'm giving myself the 5 year span, but 5 years from now, this is where I was at in this song, this is where I was at in this song, and this is where I'm at now, right? And so I could definitely say, if we're sticking on the 5 year span, I definitely see myself becoming a bigger artist. Like I said, I want to go international. I think my sound is a sound that can travel across the seas. I think my sound is a sound that can be in all genres, in all buildings, in all events. And I think I am slowly progressing as an artist to make music, and to make hits that are going to eventually be in these spaces. And so I take my time, and I'm learning myself, and I'm still growing, and I'm not being hard on myself. And even sometimes when I don't feel beautiful and I don't feel confident and I don't feel brave and strong, I have to put that face on, because at the end of the day, the only person that, or as I like to say, the only person that's going to save me, when the world is crumbling, is me. And so I want to be able to continuously build who I am up as a person. And if I can give any words of advice for the people out there, I would definitely say love everything about yourself. Nothing you ever did in life is a mistake. Everything you did in life was to help you learn and to help you grow. Even if you feel like you regret it, you can have the regretful feeling. But in that moment of feeling those regrets, know that that regretful feeling is what's helping you build your character into a stronger person. Where this is life, and we're on earth, and ultimately the purpose of be here is to, learn lessons. Earth is ultimately a school to just learn, and learn lessons to be able to live a beautiful life and get into a mental space to where you are, like mentally free. Slavery is not physical anymore, it's literally mental. And as you continue to grow up and you pay attention to these things that, they put in your face, or people tell you to mentally enslave you, you start to see how, okay, I don't have to let this in. I don't have to let this into my spirit. I don't have to take what these people are saying so literal, because this is just a projection of what they feel, how they look at themselves, how they look at the world, and it has nothing to do with you. And I would definitely say, for the children out there, those that are under 16, um, find yourself, have fun. Don't put limits on yourself. Don't worry about what people have to say. Don't worry about people teasing you. Don't worry about having acne. Don't worry about these things. You are going to grow up to be beautiful. You are going to grow up to be great. You are going to grow up to be strong fighters, warriors. And the only thing that you can do in this world is be you. As you get older, continuously learn how to be you. And as you learn how to be you, and build all those characteristics that are great about yourself, you are going to find your place in this world. I could definitely say being in my 20s is like the most insightful part of my life, because I'm starting to figure out and understand that all these talents and all these gifts that I had growing up, that people tried to bash me for, people tried to tear me down for, was actually the beauty that I hold. And people don't like that I actually express that beauty, because it pushes a button inside of them that they just don't possess. And so ultimately, people always assume that people just don't want to see the best for you, and don't want to see you get as far as they are, well, further than them. And so it's not saying have that assumption with everyone, But in the back of your head, assume that, just so you know, any criticism that comes your way, any feedback that comes your way, don't ever let it take it, don't ever take it so literal to where it's affecting who you are as a person. And with all that being said, and we aren't going to have a break this episode, you will see my content at the end of this video along with my social media. I do want to say thank you guys for listening to me. Um, I love you all. Once again, I love you for supporting me. I love you for hearing a little brief story of, like, my life. I hope all of everything I said makes sense, and you get it and it reaches the right ears. And I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the fourth episode of the Artist Sit Down. It's your girl Kimora She, and I'll see you next week.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Stick around to see some of Kimora's own art.
Feels so right when you caress me by my thighs. Listen, we've been on our grind, we've been on our fucking mission. We see eye to eye, so it ain't never competition. And no, I always got it on me in my bag. In case a nigga act up, he gon' get it back. And my body go down, 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 down. I give my body to you. I give my body to you. Cause when the body go move down, then my body go down, 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 down. I give my body to you. I give my body to you.
And if you want to be featured on the Artist Sit Down, a sign-up application is in the description below.